After my last video, a lot of people were not too happy with my placement of Twilight Princess on the list of Zelda games to start with. I received a lot of comments thinking it should have been one of the best ones to start with. The purpose of my last video was to serve as a guide for someone who has never played a Zelda game before, to understand that some games are better to start with than others. I didn't even include my own starter Zelda game, Phantom Hourglass, high up, because I think there are better ones out there. Now, I've been playing Zelda games my whole life, and the majority of them I really enjoyed playing. Twilight Princess was not one of them. I just have too much history with it. It's the toxic ex that won't go away. When I was young, my family had a Wii. This console fueled my Zelda addiction way past what was possible on my DS. I was always itching for more games to play on that Wii, always begging my parents for whatever game I saw at Walmart or GameStop. And one day, I saw Twilight Princess on sale for $19.99, and I begged my parents for it. They ultimately said no, and throughout the years, I always remembered that. I always looked at the box art online, and on my 3DS, any trailer for it I watched. I remember being so upset when they ported it to the Wii U, being outraged that they would not put it on the 3DS. My small young mind could not comprehend that the game would not run on my puny 3DS, and I didn't have a Wii U at the time. Years passed and I was running down my checklist of Zelda games I needed to beat as the release of Breath of the Wild rekindled my desire to beat all the Zelda games. But unfortunately, I had sold my Wii at the time to buy the Switch back in 2017. I luckily had a friend who I ran track with at the time offer to sell me his Wii for only $10, and another friend sold me his copy of Twilight Princess for $10. After that day of high school, I arrived back at my parents' house $20 poor with a Wii and the game I had been waiting so long to play. Young 15-year-old Greenie booted up the game he had been waiting so long to play, and as he played, more and more of his smile faded. It was not as good as he hoped. Years of flipping through my Hyrule Historia book, staring for hours at end at any page of Twilight Princess related info, left me with standards no game could satisfy, especially not Twilight Princess. The game on the Wii obviously was not the best version to play. In fact, it's the worst. But I really didn't think I minded the motion controls. What I did mind was the game holding my hand for far too long. Twilight Princess is known for its overly long tutorial, most of the time lasting about 30 to 45 minutes depending on the person. Now, I've always had a good attention span, but even that is pushing it. And after that, the game didn't really get much better. The game is riddled with backtracking galore. Did you know that you have to go to the first dungeon 3 times before you can enter it? Yup, that's dumb. For me, I like Zelda games to explain the basic mechanics, then let me go free. I think Ocarina of Time does this really well. It has lore, basic gameplay, small quests to find your sword and shield, then it is straight to the first dungeon, where the dungeon itself teaches you mechanics for the game. I mean, it's genius, and it really keeps the pacing going. While in Twilight Princess, it's speed, find your horse, wrangle some goats, get this bird, get this baby carrier, follow this slow walking lady, get a fish for this cat, stop that goat, buy the slingshot, teach the kids how to shoot, teach the kids how to sword fight, that monkey, save the kid, wrangle some goats again, get kidnapped. That's too much. I mean, it's just too much. Yes, I know the main purpose of this tutorial is for the player to build a connection with the townsfolk and ultimately learn some of the mechanics. The issue with that is that the game throws way too many mechanics at the player. Most of these skills are not even needed until much later in the game, when the player could probably learn it then to save some time and keep the game moving. Ocarina of Time did this. Kokiri Forest taught you how to move in a 3D environment, but most of the learning was done in the Deku Tree. Combat, shield reflecting, climbing, jumping, pushing and pulling blocks, lighting torches. All of this was done so effortlessly in Ocarina of Time, and it kept the game moving. Most of the time the player didn't even realize that it was learning the skills. It's just weird that Twilight Princess was such a step back in level design. The game also just gives you too big of a bite at the beginning, when it could have been spread out throughout the entire game. I looked at most Let's Players playing this part of the game, and it averaged around 40 minutes. I myself replayed the beginning on stream, and it took me 38 minutes total. Tutorials are the make or break part of the game, where most players will stop playing if it's just too long. Just look at Starfield. The game failed because a 12-hour tutorial is insane. A good game should teach basic mechanics, then set you loose and let you learn tougher mechanics as the game goes on. Twilight Princess is a big bite to chew at the beginning. And is it worth it to keep playing? Kinda, I guess. Midna is the best Zelda companion, hands down, and she's the best part of the game. The second best part of the game is the story. The story is compelling, really fun to follow, and I like how it seems like Twilight Princess Link is not the chosen one. And I appreciate how dark the game gets sometimes. Story is not really the strong suit of most Zelda games. But I can pretty safely say that TP's story is in the top 3 when it comes down to Zelda games. However, those are really the only praise I can give the game. The wolf form just never feels as fun as it should, and really never evolves more mechanic-wise. Which is weird because you're constantly in wolf form, and it's a big selling point of the game. Look at this box art! It's 50% of this box art is dedicated to Wolf Link. Once you learn the Midna hold B move, you pretty much just use that the whole game and you're fine. Combat doesn't really evolve more past that. Searching for the Tears of Light is never fun, and always a drag. It's super tedious. The world is too big with not much to do, and for most part of the game, it's a pain to travel. You can only fast travel and transform in and out of wolf form once you get the Master Sword. For me, this game really picks up after the Master Sword is found. Traveling is better, the dungeons are better, and the story picks up its pace. For me, the Master Sword is the turning point of this game. The Arbiter's Ground, Snow Peak Ruins, Temple of Time are by far the best dungeons in the game. And the Hidden Village is not only my favorite sequence from the game, but one of my favorites in the entire Zelda series. However, this all comes to an end at the dungeon that caused me to not finish this game back in the day, the City in the Sky.
Okay.
Ugh.
Whatever. Alright. We're done. I hate this. I hate everyone.
I hate this dungeon with a passion. I hate everything about it. The only semi-fun part is the boss fight. But that's it. Obviously, me back in high school never finished the game, but 2 years ago I got bored with some college roommates and we bought a Wii U. And I finally beat Twilight Princess. And wow, it really was not that good. The HD version looks amazing, but it took me forever, as I could only really play for about an hour at a time before I got pissed off and ended up turning it off. Not to mention I had classes in the way. But yeah, I beat it, and that's pretty much what I think about it. It's like a 6 out of 10 for me, and 4 of those points are strictly out of respect for Midna. Not a super bad game, but I really didn't care for it. It sucks too, because the Twilight Princess manga is really good. So good, in fact, that it made me want to replay the game, which was a mistake. Midna, I'm sorry you have to be trapped behind this crappy game. Now to address the comments. When it comes to opinions in games, people are bound to have different opinions, but I have good news for you. There is a difference between the best and your favorite. So, if Twilight Princess is your favorite, you are correct. That is subjective and I'm happy for you. But if you say Twilight Princess is the best, I don't think so. A good example of this phenomenon is 2 shows that always pop up in the top 10 shows of all time. Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Now the best of these shows is Breaking Bad, but my favorite is Better Call Saul. Saul Goodman is a character I can relate to more. A man who can just not change for the better. He keeps falling back into slipping Jimmy and ends up hurting those around him. No matter how hard he tries, he never changes for the better until it's too late. That is a trait I see in myself, and I find the show much more fun to watch, so I like it better.
Don't care about it. It's nothing to me.
Another example is Berserk vs. Chainsaw Man. 2 very good manga, but when it comes on, Berserk is the GOAT. Probably the best manga to ever have been made. However, I can relate more to Denji than I can Guts. Denji is a character often misunderstood even by Chainsaw Man fans. He is not some super horn dog. He is constantly being manipulated by women who are just using him and holding sex or some other form of intercourse on a string in front of him. He just craves normality and a simple life, yet everything and anything gets in his way of his happiness, and ultimately he fails out to live his dream of a normal life. I can relate to that more than Guts, as I too just want to live a normal life, but I never seem to have enough money or time for things I want to do. And I also have had my fair share of manipulative girls and toxic relationships, and that's what Twilight Princess is to me, just another toxic relationship. I always come back expecting it to change or be better, and it never is. I constantly let my mind linger on the best parts like Hidden Village and Snow Peak Ruins, but I foolishly let myself run back to it. But in the end, I can't make myself love it. No matter how hard I try, I can't love this game. So, to all the comments in my last video wondering why Twilight Princess left out of the lines and chained in purgatory, you now know it's because I am extremely biased about the game. How could I fairly rate a game I have such a distaste for? Anyways, I'd hate to end this video on such a negative note, so I will end this video with my favorite part of Twilight Princess that I have not yet talked about. The music. Every background song you have heard in this video is from Twilight Princess. And I think some people forget just how important a video game soundtrack is. When most of your game is walking around for a long time, creating a song that does not get repetitive or annoying is hard to do. Zelda games have some of the best OSTs in gaming history, however this game stands tall with every single song being a banger. This game probably has some of my favorite tracks in the entire Zelda series. Midna's Lament, Sacred Grove with the Little Lost Woods bit. Ooh, this music slaps. Hyrule Field's theme made me just stand up and push through the game. The little boss jingle that plays when you do something right made me really immersed in the game. The music is always right for the theme and atmosphere for wherever it plays. The songs that are chosen for different cutscenes really make you feel the impact of the story, and your emotions while playing are in tune to the notes. Every song is a banger. There's not a single track I do not like. I love when the song changes in Hyrule Castle as it gets louder and adds more instruments as you climb higher to face Ganondorf. This game's music made me miss the dynamic and constant music of the older Zelda games. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are good, but not having music the same as the older games is a real letdown, especially with how good some of these songs are in this game. Thank you for watching. If you sat through this entire video, that means the world to me, especially if you do like Twilight Princess, and I'm sorry I couldn't. If you want to argue out your point in the comments, I will be happy to engage in friendly conversations. And if you want to do it live, I will be streaming my Twilight Princess playthrough every Wednesday night, so be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss it. If you like this video and want to see more of my content, also be sure to subscribe. It means the world, and hey, I just hit 300 subs, so that's really cool. My goal for 2025 is to hit 500, and that's going to be very challenging, but I want to make this channel better. I've been doing this for almost 5 years now, and I am so much farther behind than I want to be when it comes to YouTube. Starting in 2025, I want to be able to do weekly uploads, weekly streams, and strive to hit 500, maybe even beyond that. So if you're not subscribed, please consider it, and if you are already subscribed, thank you. And make an alt account and do it there too.